Welcome, class. I'm so happy that you decided to join us in this class. This should be an exciting adventure for all of us. The information, the subject matter is very current and very important to you as a helper. We're going to be working together for only 10 very short weeks. We're giving you a 15-week course in about 10 weeks, and that requires that we give a lot more information each week and that you have a lot more to do each week so that we can finish that much quicker. I know how busy you are, and I'm sure that you know how busy I am. I teach an awful lot of courses, and I want to make sure that we all understand that time does slip by very quickly in a course like this, and in order to get to the end point where we can grade everyone, we have to have everything in on time. Organization is really the key to success in graduate school. You should plan on spending about 60 to 90 minutes each night, 7 days a week, or get a specific time. Doesn't matter whether it's night or day, whatever is better for you, to be able to do your work. And you then will be sure that you get it all done on time, and you won't have any additional issues. Now, just to give you a little information about what's expected from a discussion standpoint. In weeks where there are two discussions, one discussion, the first discussion, will be due on Wednesday, and the second discussion original response, will be due on Friday. Wednesday and Friday. If there's only one, then you only have to do one on Wednesday. If there's three, you do two on Wednesday and one on Friday. So that makes it fairly simple, and it gets the work out of the way a little bit quicker. So Wednesday by midnight Central Time, and Friday by midnight Central Time, except in the last week. In the last week, there are the course ends on a Friday, so you must have everything in by that Friday. There's no Saturday or Sunday, so it has to be in on time, including all of your responses to the other students. Now, just so that you remember, read how many students each week you respond to, because I give 75% of that grade to your basic response, up to 75%, and the other 25% is for responses. So if you have two responses and you only respond to one, then you're going to be only getting about 12.5%. So it really becomes important to make sure that you get everything in on time. Getting everything in on time is important to me for a whole series of reasons. And the major one is it is a fairness issue. I want to be fair to everyone. I don't want you to feel as though you have to get something in on a certain date and somebody else thinks they can wait 2 or 3 weeks. When things are due, they're in, and that's when they'll be graded when they come in, and they have to be in on time. If they're not in on time, they get a 0. And there's really very few, actually there are no exceptions to that policy. So get your work in on time each week. It's only fair to everyone else. I had a Marine in the class who was in the middle of a war zone and was getting his stuff in, and another student wasn't, and he got pretty ticked off. And so I felt after that, that it was very, very important that we treat everybody the same way and treat everybody fairly. So get your work in on time. On top of that, I want you to know that I'm not big on giving 100%, and I'm also not big on giving a 0, so that should be a relief. The reality is that 100% means something is absolutely perfect, with everything grammatically and writing-wise perfect, and oftentimes that doesn't happen. There's a lot of room between 0 and 100, obviously. And remember, here at Capella, 90 to 100 equals an A. There's no A minus. 80 to 89.99 is a B. There's no B minus or B plus. In 75 to 80, 70 to 79.99 is a C. So you've got a huge range there, and everybody should do fairly well in this course. Now, I really want to ask you to make sure that you spend a little bit of time reading what the requirements are. Um, and also read your expectations carefully. Also, if you could, please take a look at the PowerPoint presentation, go through it. It'll take you somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes, but I give you in that PowerPoint some very specific information about the course. I want to tell you also that I try to make it a point in each semester to have at least two conference calls with all of my students at one time. And this gives me the opportunity to talk to you about what you need, and it gives you the opportunity to ask me any questions that you might have. It also gives me the opportunity to talk a lot about positive psychology and about some other things that you might find interesting, possibly sometimes even leadership issues or other sorts of things that happen to be of interest at that particular time. But I want you to be sure that you kind of come to those things, because I also give you additional credit for showing up at them. And we will talk about when they'll be. Usually they're on a weekend, and it would be great if you could make it. So I want to also tell you a little bit about writing, because this is real important. I'm a real stickler in this area. You have to give credit to whoever wrote something. And that's why we use turnitin.com. But on top of that, if you're quoting something, use quotation marks and tell us who it is. If you're not quoting it, and hopefully you won't be quoting it, you'll be doing paraphrasing, you still have to put a parentheses and put where it came from so that we know and we can refer down to your reference section to see what you're talking about. Okay? Please write, when you're writing your assignments in particular, please write your assignments in third person. First and second person is not impactful or effective in that area. They must be written in third person. So there is no use of I or me or we or us or you or your, but only third person. Figure out how to write that way, because that's how you write graduate level wise. Also, remember, this is a graduate course. There's a great expectation. And that expectation is that you use some critical thinking. Critical thinking is very, very important. And make sure that you think out what you write. When you write, especially in your discussions, I really suggest that what I do is I usually take the question apart. If it's a three-part question, I'll take the question apart and I'll have a heading, a response, a heading, the next response, and a heading and the third response. It makes it easier for me to read so that I know what you're talking about, and it also makes it easier for you as you're going along. Now, I use the Socratic method oftentimes. If it's a very, very large class, I'm not really sure how big the class is right now, but if it's a very large class, I might write to every other person on one question, and on the other one possibly the same thing, every other person. So you may not get a response all the time, but when I do give you a response or a question, I would like an answer, and that is not considered one of the responses to the other students. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that. Now, I really want to work with you, and I think it's important for me to try to do that. So if you have any questions or problems, please feel free to call me. I've given you my telephone number. I've given you the times that I'm usually available. If I'm not available at those times, or if you call and I can't talk to you right then because I'm talking to someone else or I'm doing something else, I will get back to you. Just give me a time frame and where you are so I know what part of the country you're in, and I'll try to call you back during that time frame. If not that day, certainly the next day. Okay? So I wish you the best of luck in this course. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with you and to learn from you. I learn as much from you as hopefully you're going to learn through the course. So thank you very much for being here and being a part of this. Please take the time to watch the PowerPoint presentation. Also, make sure that you read the expectations, and don't only give me, I have read the expectations and the counseling expectations in this course, but tell me the answer to the secret question that is inside of the expectation. I oftentimes get a kick out of it because people just forget about giving me that answer, or they don't actually read it. That's how I can tell that you read the expectations. Thanks so much, and looking forward to working with you for the next 10 weeks. Take care and have a wonderful day.